Hey guys, so a few weeks ago I filmed a video on 10 different beauty products that I no longer buy, and I'm so glad that a lot of you guys seem to like that video. I asked you if you wanted to see a lifestyle version of that, and a lot of you guys said yes. It might surprise you if you watch my beauty videos, but I would consider myself to be pretty minimalistic in most areas of my life, with maybe the exception of my makeup collection, and that's just because I film YouTube videos. And that's not to say I couldn't cut back more. I'm definitely working on that, but when it comes to other areas in my life, I feel like I have cut back so much over the past 3 or 4 years. For me, I don't like to have an overabundance of things and products just because it really stresses me out when I have a lot of products to manage and there's things all around me cluttering up my life. So, over the past few years, I have cut back significantly, and I thought it would be fun to film a video sharing some products that I no longer buy. Everyone is different, everyone's lifestyle is different, so I'm not filming this video to tell you guys that you need to cut back in these areas, but hopefully this video can inspire you guys if you are looking to cut some things out of your life or just looking for ways to reduce clutter, be a little bit more mindful, and create less waste, because I've really been enjoying these videos and they've helped me a lot. I saw a video by Jessica Braun and one from Kelly Gooch that inspired me to film this, but I've also seen a lot of others, so I'll link a couple of my favorites in the description box below, but let's jump into it. So the first category for me would be seasonal home decor. I used to go to the store and buy new home decor every single season just to refresh the house, make it really fun and festive, and I don't think there's anything wrong with home decor, but for me, I just felt like it was very unnecessary to do that year after year. We've lived in the same house for like 5 or 6 years at this point, so in the past when I've purchased products for this house, I've purchased them with my setup in mind, and I feel like I'm able to use the same things every single year. For me, my personal preferences don't change that much, so all of the products that I bought last fall are going to work for me this fall as well. So for me, I really try not to go to the store and get sucked in by all of the new seasonal products and just stick with what I have, or maybe buy products that will work for all year round instead of buying like a very specific seasonal product. So number 2 is something that I used to get sucked in by, and this still sometimes happens when I go to Target and I walk by like that Magnolia section, but I've cut back on like serving trays and platters and large plates and utensils, anything that I would typically buy for hosting people or if I had like friends or family over. First of all, I'm not having large groups of people over my house these days. Second of all, when I do, I have a lot of things that already work. A few years ago, I was at like Crate & Barrel and they were having a crazy sale, and I got like large white bowls and really fun white platters, and I kind of stick with like white dishes because I feel like they all go really well together, and those work perfectly fine. I love how they look, the style is perfect, so for me it doesn't make a lot of sense to buy a bunch of new plates and baskets and trays because I already have those things. I used to feel like I had to purchase like a fun pumpkin themed plate or like a cute Christmas tree plate, but honestly that's not really my style, and I don't feel like I have to have those things because my white plain trays do the job. If we're having a taco night, they work. If we're having a pizza night, they work. And for me, I don't have a ton of room to store things, so I felt like my cabinets were overflowing. They were very cluttered. I didn't know what I had, what I didn't have. So at this point, I've just cut back on buying serving dishes and things like that because first of all, I'm not really using them. Second of all, I don't need them. I have a lot of things that work well. So number 3 for me would be paper planners, notebooks, pens, pencils, stationery. I used to love notebooks so much, and I can't even convey to you guys how much I loved notebooks. Every single time I went to the store, I would purchase a new one, just like a fun decorative notebook, cute pens, a new planner, and it was starting to become a problem because I would just have like stacks and stacks of notebooks that I never used. When I was in college, it made a little bit more sense because I would use those notebooks and those pens for classes, but since then, I really haven't had a need for a lot of those things. I know a lot of people do prefer paper planners, and I was totally one of those people. I used to be like a big Erin Condren fan, and as far as paper planners go, they definitely still make my favorite. But a few years ago, I started doing everything electronically, and it works so much better for me personally. I have an app called GoodNotes on my iPad. I just use my Apple Pencil, and that's where I do my budget. That is where I plan my YouTube videos. For my personal like daily planner, my daily calendar, I just use the Apple Calendar because it syncs with my computer and my phone, and I'm able to access access it from anywhere. The biggest game changer for me is that my husband and I actually started syncing our calendars like 2 years ago, and it's made such a difference because we always know what the other one is up to, and we don't usually have like a miscommunication, and we don't book things on the same night. So it has been amazing. I know electronic calendars and planners are not for everyone by any means, but if you think you would like to make the switch, I recommend trying it out because it's been so good. So because of that, I no longer buy fun notebooks and planners and pens, and I do miss them, but for me, it was kind of getting out of hand, so I decided to make the switch and do everything electronically, and I've been able to cut back in those areas so much, save money, create less waste. I mean, notebooks are fun, and if you use them, I say go for it, but for me, I just wasn't using them. I'd write in like one page and buy a new one, and it just got out of hand quickly. So number 4 is very general, but I really try not to buy backups, and that would be, you know, makeup or skincare, but also cleaning supplies, a lot of food, just anything in my house. I really try not to have like multiple backups of any product. For me, this is really important because if I like a certain laundry detergent and I buy a bunch of it and I have backups or I have really large containers of it, my preferences might change, and all of a sudden I might not really be into that scent or that formula any longer, and all of a sudden I have so much of it left. So now I really just try to buy like one laundry detergent, I know, random example, and then use it up completely before I repurchase it or move on to something else. I feel like when I was in the habit of buying a bunch of backups, I had this scarcity mentality, so I felt like I always had to have something else on hand, and it's not always a bad theory. If you find one of your favorite mascaras on sale, you might want to purchase a backup because you know you'll buy the full size eventually anyway. But for me, it just kind of got out of hand, and I had to have a backup of like all of my favorite products, no matter what it was. And these days, I kind of go in with a mentality that everything is replaceable. And that can be hard sometimes when it comes to makeup especially, but I can usually find an alternative if something does end up getting discontinued or I can't get my hands on it any longer. So I really try not to buy too many products in bulk or have too many backups on hand. It takes up a lot of space, and you know, I like to be able to try different things. Number 5 would be shoes. I've never really been a big shoe person. I know everyone has their different things, whether it's shoes or clothes or makeup or purses, but for me, shoes have never really been like a category where I feel like I have to have so many different options. That being said, there were times where I would buy like new booties or like new sneakers or just something new because the seasons change and I wanted to update my wardrobe. So I found that I would just accumulate like so many different boots for winter, long boots, short boots, just all different kinds of things because I felt like I needed to buy them every single season, and I might end up wearing like 2 or 3 of them. So for me, it just doesn't make sense to buy a lot of new shoes. They don't get worn very often, and I feel like I don't wear through my shoes very quickly. Very rarely do I have like a pair of sneakers or a pair of boots that I have to replace. Like they last for years and years. Kind of along the same lines, I would have to say the same thing about purses. I haven't purchased a new purse in years at this point. A few years ago, I purchased a couple of bags from BLU-RAYS, and they make really high quality bags, and I decided to spend a little bit of money and like splurge on something that I thought would last for years. And I'm telling you guys, the Cher Tote that I purchased from BLU-RAYS, it still looks brand new, and I use that one all the time. I use it when I travel, I use it for everyday wear. You can fit a ton of products in it, and I'm so glad that I decided to buy that one because I feel like between the time that I purchased that and now, I probably would have purchased like 4 or 5 different bags from just Target and gone through them because the quality wasn't as good. Not that there's anything wrong with a Target bag because again, I've had a few of those that have lasted me a really long time as well, but I just don't feel the need to consistently replace my bag. I find a style that I love and, you know, I buy it and I'm good to go for years and years. Also, again, I'm not like a big purse person, so that just kind of comes down to personal preference. Number 7 is makeup bags. I used to buy a new makeup bag like every single year. If we were going on vacation during the summertime, I would purchase a new makeup bag, and I don't know why, because realistically, for me, a makeup bag doesn't get used super often. I might use it when I'm traveling, but I'm not someone who stores like my everyday makeup in a makeup bag. If you do, you definitely might have to replace it more often, but I just feel like now I don't know why I spent so much money on makeup bags. I had accumulated so many over the years. I think I kind of touched on this one, but number 8 would be things that don't fit. Like I said, my house is a little bit smaller, so I don't have a lot of storage. I have a couple of closets, but for the most part, we don't have areas to put like extra things. So I try not to buy things that won't fit in my current house. So whether it's my closet or under my sink where we keep our cleaning supplies or in, my makeup collection, if it's going to overflow and not fit in the specific area where I want to store it, I can't buy it. I feel like this is a pretty good way to keep yourself in check when it comes to anything. If your closet is full and you want to buy new clothes, then you kind of have to tell yourself that you either can't buy them or you need to get rid of something before you purchase something new. And that whole mentality of like, one in, one out does kind of keep things in check for me personally. But on top of that, it keeps me from buying a lot of products because maybe I don't want to get rid of anything that I already have. So instead of just getting rid of something to make room for something new, I just won't buy the new thing. Number 9 would be buying extra products to get free shipping. This is something that I feel like I'm still guilty of sometimes. If I'm just like a few dollars away from free shipping, I always want to add something to my cart to get free shipping. And this just happened to me the other day when I was placing a Sephora order. I think I was like $12 short of free shipping. And I was like, what can I buy for $12 to add to my cart? So I started looking through the sales section and there's nothing that I actually wanted in the sales section. And I told myself, why am I going to spend extra money just to get free shipping? I'm going to end up spending $12 and buying something I don't want when I could have just paid $6 for the actual shipping. And sometimes it works out and there's something that you actually want or actually need that you can add on. But sometimes that's just not the case. I don't know what it is about free shipping, but I know that it trips a lot of us up and we always want to buy more to get the free shipping or get the discount, but it's not always worth it. You have to weigh it and see if it really is worth it or if you're actually buying something that you want and you'll use and you love, or if you're just trying to avoid paying for shipping. Number 10 is something that I've seen a lot of people mention in these videos, and that would be souvenirs. Now, I know some people love souvenirs, and I think if you are one of those people, then there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to tell you how to spend your money, but for me, I kind of felt like this pressure. Like every time we went somewhere, I had to get a souvenir. We were kind of collecting Christmas ornaments for a while, and I don't think that's a bad idea if you don't mind having like random Christmas ornaments on your tree. If you like that and every season you can kind of look at where you've been, then I think that's kind of a fun idea. But I would always go to like these random places and I'd look through the Christmas ornaments and I didn't like any of them, but I would just buy one anyway. Because that was our souvenir, I felt like we had to do it. And souvenirs are expensive. Like we went to Disney and we were getting a Christmas ornament and it was like $20 for a little Christmas ornament. So for me, I really try not to do that anymore. I mean, we don't buy the Christmas ornaments anymore because I felt like we were spending a ton of money and it was fun to kind of look back on that, but there are so many other things you can do. You can take photos and print them off. I know some people buy postcards. Some people do buy like t-shirts because they like to wear them. If you find something that works well for you and your lifestyle, then maybe it makes sense. But for me, I just felt like we were spending so much money on souvenirs and we could have taken that money and done something else with it. Something else that I kind of associate with travel or vacation would be magazines. I used to buy magazines whenever I was at the airport or we were going to the beach or I had a road trip. And I feel like it's almost something that I associated with childhood because if we were going on a beach vacation, I feel like my mom always had like a few magazines and we would read through them. But now, I don't know, I just feel like I don't have a need for them because I can find that info online. Typically, I'll just read a book or listen to an audiobook or catch up on social media or do something else other than reading through a magazine. Also, the last time I read through a magazine, which I'm trying to think of when it was, maybe I was at the doctor's office or something, it was just full of ads. And there were so many ads every single time I flipped through it that there wasn't even like a lot of content within the actual magazine. So for me, I just don't buy them. They're kind of expensive and I'd rather just listen to an audiobook or honestly just zone out if I'm on a plane or sleep. Definitely sleep. Number 12 is water bottles. I used to have a slight water bottle obsession. I would buy a bunch of them and not just like the disposable water bottles because a few years ago I switched to glass water bottles. I just like drinking out of them, but I almost had like so much fun with glass water bottles that I would want to try different brands and have multiple options. And how many reusable water bottles do I need? It's okay to have a couple, but I feel like the whole point was the fact that it was better for the environment. But if I was purchasing a bunch of them, I feel like that's not great for the environment either because now I have like 85 water bottles in my cabinet. Number 13 would be perfume. I went through a phase where I purchased a ton of perfume and I just wanted to have a bunch of different scents, a lot of options. And if you're someone who loves perfume or loves fragrance, I can totally see why that might appeal to you. I really don't wear perfume super often these days. And if I do, I have like one scent that I purchased years ago that I wear over and over. Recently, I talked about buying a new one from Sol de Janeiro, and I did purchase the fragrance mist. So I'm not opposed to buying a new fragrance, but that's the first fragrance that I've purchased in like 3 or 4 years. I feel like my moisturizers or like my hair products are usually pretty scented, so I don't like to add a ton of fragrance on top of that. But I also feel like I can't go through fragrance fast enough to justify having a bunch of options. I wish brands sold fragrance in like smaller bottles, and some brands do. Some brands have like mini bottles of it, but I feel like, a lot of brands sell large full-size bottles, and for me and my lifestyle, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and perfume is expensive. So that's something I've just kind of cut back on. I usually find like one scent that I love, and then I'll purchase that scent over and over. I wish I was a little bit more adventurous with fragrance, but at the same time, I'm okay with it because it is kind of expensive. Number 14 would be DVDs and Blu-rays. For such a long time, I was getting on my husband's nerves because we had like this collection of DVDs. We didn't have a ton of them, but we had a good amount, and we never, ever watched them. I can't even remember the last time we put a DVD or a Blu-ray on because, we have Netflix, and typically we'll just kind of rent something on like the Amazon Prime app. So we had all of these DVDs that we never watched, and they were just taking up space. So every few months I would bug him. I'm like, can we get rid of these? Do we need them? And he was like, no, I love those movies. I'll watch them eventually. And after like a few years of doing that, finally he was like, okay, we can get rid of them. I've never watched these movies, and if by some chance I do want this movie, I can always buy like a digital version of it. I feel like I ran those words together. So I love the fact that we can buy digital versions of movies because now we can watch them anywhere. We can watch them at our home. If we're at my sister's house, we can put it on there. If we're traveling, we can download it, and it's so convenient. And number 15 would just be like plastic bags or plastic wrap or like plastic utensils, anything that's one-time use. And it's so funny because I resisted that for a long time, and then a few years ago I was just like, we're not buying plastic bags anymore. I don't know why. I thought I wouldn't be able to live without my Ziploc bags for some reason, but it's so weird to look back on that because we just don't use them. I haven't purchased them for years. I have a couple of reusable options, but honestly, I don't really use those either. I feel like we just store our food in like glass containers if we have leftovers, and if we're on the go, we just bring like one of our regular bowls or plates, and after we use it, we bring it inside and wash it. So for me, it's actually been a lot easier to cut that stuff out than I initially thought it would be. There are a lot of great alternatives, but I try not to buy like too many reusable plastic items either, like even like those $2 plates from Target or those reusable plastic bags. Obviously they're better because they are multi-use, but in the end they're still kind of disposable. So for me, I just try to avoid all of that altogether. I can definitely film a video if you want to know some of the alternatives that I use, but surprisingly it's been a lot easier than I thought it would be. Okay, you guys, it is 5 o'clock, which means it is time to feed my pugs. I have 3 pugs now, so it's always a process to feed them because they love their food, so we have to separate them so they don't get in a fight trying to get the other one's food, and it's a whole process. So it usually takes both of us to do that, so I better go. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I would love to know if you have any areas where you've cut back. I hope that this video didn't come off as like, I guess, preachy, because I totally recognize that everyone's lifestyle is different. I am so non-judgmental when it comes to minimalism or cutting back. I think that any effort that you make makes a difference, and I understand that everyone has a different journey, moves at a different pace, and I think sometimes with certain things like minimalism or like veganism or even people who are vegetarians, I'm just like throwing random things out there, or cruelty-free beauty, any effort to make a difference counts in my eyes. I think that so many people are quick to say it's all or nothing, and I just don't think that's the case at all. I think that everyone has a different journey, they have a different lifestyle, and people move at a different pace. And if you're making any effort at all to be more mindful about what you purchase and what you bring into your life, then I think that's amazing. And if you're not there yet, then that's totally fine too. But I just hope today's video was at least interesting for you guys if you were curious to know some different ways that I've cut back, maybe ways that you can cut back as well. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you very soon with a new video. Bye.